Hello, my name is Justin Harmon, and I'm going to go over my capstone research paper with you. Title is Disabled and Homeless Veterans Rehabilitation Transition Program. These are the key things that I'm going to be covering. There's certain incidences that happen in the United States that help redefine how we as Americans, as emergency managers, mitigate disasters. We've seen in 9/11, there was a lack of communication, there was delayed in funds. There's factors that made the situation worse. From 9/11, the president seen a need to design a agency that oversought those aspects to help bring them onto a universal system that coordinates their response to speed up the time. His idea was for terrorist activity, but for all disasters. Except for during Hurricane Katrina, we saw the worst possible way of handling any disaster. It was an epic failure. So bad the president had to apologize to America for how bad we did. And the reason that it was bad was, DHS was fairly new. Everybody was learning the NIMS ICS systems. The communications was just atrocious. But we found later as we studied that there was other aspects that made it prolonged recovery. One being towards the vulnerable population. There was no preparation for those in those groups. And what a vulnerable population is a group that has certain disabilities or aspects of their lives that make it complicated to help mitigate their needs during disasters, be it resources or specialized care that they need to function daily. And so what FEMA has done is that they've designed a framework to help communities be more resilient. Specifically in mind, during those processes of creating an action plan, to create the process around those vulnerable populations. And certainly disabled veterans and homeless veterans fall in this category of vulnerability. And so the paper that my paper is on is could there be a program that will help rehabilitate these veterans and bring them back into society? And so I researched and came up with yes. So, but is there a need for a multidisciplinary program? Let's see the facts. There is a 1.6 million homeless population in the United States. About 3% of those are reported to be veterans. Right? Each year, there's an increase of 3% or more in homelessness. 3% is usually the amount. And given the numbers, that's about 1 to 1.2% of those increase are veterans. So we have this large number of veterans that are vulnerable, and it keeps increasing per year. So there are some evidence that supports the idea of a multidisciplinary service that caters to these needs of the veterans. specifically in mental health. Why mental health? It's the number one factor of why people become homeless. It's also the number one factor of why they remain homeless. And it's no shock that mental illness is prevalent among veterans and veteran communities. And in the past, there's been advocacy programs that help communicate their needs to, local politicians, bureaucrats, to help cater to those needs, to help ease them into society. So they have seen success in focusing on mental health. So an effective program would be providing those coping skills and cognitive behavioral skills to help stabilize them. With the mental health issues, there are also some physical medical needs that need to be addressed. For instance, among the homeless, just the homeless, many suffer from chronic medical illnesses and conditions. Among the veterans, it's specialized. There's certain aspects that that contributed to their disabilities that worsen in the homeless communities and that need to be addressed before they can be stabilized, have employment, or etc. And so during any program, that's crucial to have those needs met. And it will help the medical system overall because less emergency room visits, less stress on the medical system. And in a effective program, there should be taught preventative medicine to help lower the cost of that care as well. So what has been done before? There has been a similar based program. And it started in 2006, titled Homeless Veteran Reintegration Program, excuse me. Like I said, only lasted 2 years. It provided the necessary services that they needed, employment, mental health, housing, etc. But it didn't teach them how to retain that employment, didn't give them basic entry-level employment skills, didn't teach them proper coping skills, and so they didn't remain into society and relapse back. And so they did have success. They had a 36% success rate, which doesn't seem like a lot, but about 500 veterans in that area went through the program, and so it's 36% of those 500 veterans, which is a significant amount. Another good program that they had was a medical facilitated housing program, and what that did is they did something similar to the homeless veterans. They provided them a house. While they're in the housing, they provided them physical and mental health needs and encouraged employment. But they didn't enforce employment. And so they ultimately didn't have enough resources to continue the program. They did receive about 23% success rate. And then throughout the years, they've been community-based programs. They facilitated addiction recoveries, mental health, physical health care, social skills, some employment services, low-income housings. But there's not enough resources to continue those to cater all the population as a total, especially since a lot of them were non-veterans and veterans within the group. So one of the key aspects that a program should have is to harp on stable housing. Why? Stable housing increases the chance of social stability. Social stability increases the chance that those remain within society. It should help the veteran enter low-income housing using the VA housing program, and provide a purpose. It doesn't have to be employment, it has to be a purpose, and that will tailor to the veteran's need and kind of bring them a sense of oneness within their community. And advocate services will need to be helped to help broker those deals throughout the program. In society, there's this stigma, and they see these individuals as really less than human. I don't think they mean anything by them, but it does prevent them, the homeless, from obtaining jobs and seeking help and changing their lifestyles. So those biases will need to be addressed, and hopefully this program will go a long way of addressing those. The other thing that needs to be addressed is criminal activity. But studies have shown they only commit crime because their needs are met. Once their needs are met, the crime rates are reduced. So what should the program look like? It should look like this. Mental health, physical health, housing, social economics, all of which tailor to the individual, not just the group. So you'll have tailored individual programs, like I said, 6 to 12 months, whatever it takes for the individual to be rehabilitated back in society. It does cost a lot. It costs $3 billion to start, with an annual budget of 1.5, and that's for payroll, taxes, to get the buildings built, and the cost of the medical services and services provided. The program, like I said, is 6 to 12 months, 6 minimum, 12-month maximum, because after 12 months, the chances of the veteran relapsing is pretty much non-existent. And the program is graded based on how many non-relapses in a given year after the program. So how do we get there? It can be shared, the cost, among the different agencies that are involved: DOD, DHS, VA. They all have a portion of their budget that could be shared into this. Non-government organizations, VFW, American Legions, they could also help share the cost of these programs. Communities, state funds. There are some funds that are allocated by Congress per state that could help within this program. So what needs to be further researched? Well, to reduce the cost, of course. By reducing the cost, make it more available, especially per state, per area. It also needs to be adaptable per state, per area. A lot of areas have unique ways of life, cultures, etc., that need to be tailored towards those specific areas. More research will need to be researched on why people become homeless, and those key indicators could go a long way of tailoring a program, as well as helping the military see those in service members before they leave, and then kind of address them before they leave. And if one group works, all homelessness should work. The program will probably need to address all homelessness in the near future. So, we need a better program. That's done. We need a multidisciplinary program. The other programs don't work because they didn't have the necessary portions or critical features that needed to help these veterans. So multidisciplinary service will work in that aspect. More research will be needed to lower the cost, have it adaptable, and to be utilized by veterans, non-veterans, and military members in general. If there's any questions, feel free to email me, contact me through my email, or I can provide the number. So thank you all for sharing this journey with me. I wish everybody